Welcome to this episode of DSTV. We are interviewing Tana, who's a Fulbright scholar at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Doctor.
It's a pleasure to meet you again. Definitely, despite the cold, here we are, right? You're a Fulbright scholar. How did you come here? How are you doing? What are the future prospects? That's what we're going to talk about on this show. But let's talk about the very beginning, on when you came, your first day. What were your experiences?
I got into Madison very late at night, so there wasn't so much to experience. The only thing I remember feeling, and I still do feel, it's been 6 months, yeah, pretty much about 5-6 months now, is that it felt all familiar. The United States did not feel strange, and well, I just wanted to get into the bed that night because it's been 24 hours in the air and I just needed to sleep. But after my first night, and then I saw something strange. I saw what we call downfall in Nigeria, the yellow buses. I saw something similar outside my window. I'm like, no, I'm not in Nigeria.
You mean the school bus?
No, it's not a school bus.
It's not a school bus?
No. So in Nigeria, we have downfall. It's a public bus.
No, I mean in the US, what you thought was downfall was a school bus? Or?
No, it wasn't a school bus. It was
really?
It was just someone's bus parked in the garage.
Ah.
And I saw that outside my window the following morning. I said, no, I'm definitely not in Nigeria. Why does this look so much like I'm illegal?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's been a fun experience, an exciting experience from the first day. That's the first day after my first night. I remember it was cold. I arrived in summer. It was still summer in August, but it felt cold. And I was asking my friend, why is it so cold in summer? It's supposed to be hot. But every day, as each day passes, it feels very normal. And I was beginning to cry, oh, it's so hot. Why is it so hot? But when fall started coming in gradually, it started getting cold. And my friends would say, oh, you haven't seen cold. This is not cold. Cold is coming. You can't feel it. It is a lot.
By fall, you mean around September?
Yes. And my friends were saying, no, this isn't cold yet. Cold is coming. Just wait for it. And I look at them and say, what do you mean cold is coming if this isn't cold? Because back in Nigeria, my friends used to say that, oh, well, I worked somewhere and my boss will always say, in Tana's office, it is always summer because my AC never goes beyond 25 degrees Celsius. So I like it really warm. And they were really worried for me. How will you cope when you get to the US? Well, I will survive. People that survive, so definitely I will survive.
And here you are not even surviving. You seem like you are thriving.
I'm thriving, actually. I come out these days, it's 5 degrees Celsius, and I say, oh, wow, it's a fine weather today. I'm shocking myself. I can say it's a fine weather at 5 degrees.
Wow, amazing. So we wanted to trace your life, way back in Nigeria. Which schools did you go to? What did you study? And what was this journey about coming to the US? What inspired you to come to the US or to try and apply for this program?
Thank you. So I will go way back from the beginning and try and summarize it. As a child, you would have your friends would, playtime, and everybody's asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? My friends were saying, I want to be a pilot. I want to be an engineer. And then there I was, maybe 5 or 6, and I said, I want to be a teacher. It was strange as a child. I think my mom heard it once, and she screamed, God forbid, God forbid. But that's coming true. God forbid, my own child. She was saying this in Yoruba language. Come on, teacher. My child will never be a teacher and all of that. Come on, get inside. And that was it. Eventually, they would always ask, so what's your future ambition? What you want to be? I did not know what I wanted to be because the only thing I wanted to be, my mom already God
Already
forbid
said no.
it.
What was her profession herself? Or
Oh, my mom was a dressmaker. She is a dressmaker. She makes dresses. Yes, so I learned how to make dresses from her, but she just didn't want me to be a
what
teacher.
kind of dresses?
Oh, I make my own dresses for now. It's not a profit making venture for me yet. It's a hobby. So I do that to relax and just.
I'm asking that because there are some, particularly I've talked to some Kenyan women who have been wanting to order some of these Nigerian
Yes, I
dresses.
make female dresses. Yes, so
Those,
outing
what do you
wears,
call
casual
them in
dresses.
Nigeria? They have a name? There's a particular style or any that you can mention?
We have different styles. I mean, the one reigning now is the corset dresses, but I like to have my fashion simple, so I do mostly shift dresses. I do the boo-boo, the kaftan. I make skirts and blouses. I make long dresses. I make pants as well. So some of my clothes, a good number of them actually, I made them before coming to the US. The things I've been wearing here. Yeah.
And here you also still make some?
Oh no, I haven't started making
You haven't
dresses
started making?
here.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, good to know. I mean, who knows who's watching? Because on this show, we've had cases of people talk about what they do, and before they know it, there are people ordering for what they just mentioned. So thanks for mentioning that. So there you go. Which school did you go to then?
I went to the University of Lagos in Lagos, Nigeria, and I studied linguistics, but with a concentration in Yoruba by some stroke of luck.
Concentration in Yoruba?
Yes.
Oh, you learned Yoruba at college level?
Yes.
Did you really want to do Yoruba that time?
No. No, I did not.
You did not?
No.
Because I remember during break or in the first episode, you mentioned of how, it was painful, almost a punishment. You'd be fined 20 naira for speaking Yoruba in school.
Yes. So I did not, I wasn't proficient in the language. I could not speak the Yoruba language at 16 when I got into the university. And so my plan was to
because
study
you guys
linguistics.
were living in Lagos.
Yes, but particularly because of the constraints. There was my mom at home who only wanted us to speak mostly English. And then there was the school who also forbade us from speaking Yoruba. So I could only speak English. And, I spoke good English. I can say so myself.
You can say so, but for sure.
I wanted to go to the uni to do linguistics and French, or second option would have been German for me. But I got to school, and on the day of the registration, I was waiting in line to be called for French. But the lecturer kept screaming, linguistics Yoruba, this way. Linguistics Igbo, this way. And I stood in the middle. I didn't know which way to go because those were my options.
They were not any of your options.
No, so
you had been conditioned not even to accept them.
I did not even want to do it. It was, why would you want to do anything Yoruba? Why of all things to do? And so I walked up to him and said, sir, I'm here for linguistics French. He looked at me once over and said, linguistics Yoruba, this way. We don't have French. Only Yoruba
with the typical African attitude.
Yes, and
is so it or that?
I was transfixed in a spot, and I had to make a choice on the spur of the moment. It only made sense to go for Yoruba
because
that's
your mother tongue.
Yes, so I went linguistics Yoruba, and there began my journey into the world of Yoruba.
And it indeed has been a journey. So when was that? When did you graduate from the University of Lagos?
I finished in 2014. I graduated from school in 2014. And it was 4 years of, I would say, reinventing myself and being a new person all over again. Because as I said, I did not speak the language until I got into school. And it was essential for me to do that. I didn't have a choice because 70-80% of my courses were taken in the language. So we took classes in Yoruba. We had to write our notes in Yoruba.
Wow.
We wrote tests, assignments, exams. I wrote my first degree dissertation in Yoruba. So
what are you talking about? Oh, really?
Yes.
Felix, did you know that Yoruba is taught at that level? I mean, how, by the way, how do you say hello in Yoruba?
Enle.
Ele,
Enle.
ele,
Yes.
and then how does somebody answer?
Enle.
Ele,
Yes. So you can either say that or
eh.
greet for the day. Ekaro, ekason. Now it's afternoon. Ekason.
Ekaso is good afternoon.
Yes.
Ekaso, or if it is morning,
Ekaro.
Ekaro,
Yes.
Ekaso.
Mm-hmm.
Ekaro, Ekaso. The Yoruba in Nigeria. This is your daughter. The way they speak. This is your daughter, Tana, who's a student at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. Right. So after the first degree, did you go for masters or that was masters? When did you take you went for masters, right?
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
But I waited for 10 years.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
Before going back for my
What were you
master's.
doing those 10 years?
So when I was 15, I had my life's plan set. I wanted to.
What do you mean you had by 15 you had your life set? Whose life is set by 15?
Oh yeah, I know. I've been such an ambitious person from a very young age, and I just knew at 15 I wanted to go to school. So again, the whole teaching thing came back to me. That was the only professional career I could think of. And I just decided, okay, maybe I don't have to teach at primary school level. Maybe I can teach at the university level.
Yes.
And there it was, that moment where I decided I will be a professor.
Good.
So I decided, go to school, get my first degree. In Nigeria, we go for the 1-year mandatory NYSC service.
National Youth Service.
Yes. So
like in, I think, Ghana or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said I would do that, then go back immediately for my master's, get
So
a
when
PhD.
did you do your National Youth Service?
I did that in 2015. 2015 and ended in 2016. So I was supposed to come back for my master's. But I did not want to do my master's in Nigeria. I wanted to go abroad. I already had schools. I picked out my schools before I finished from my undergraduate studies. And it was just, get it all done. But then life did not work that way. And so...
Did you apply to some schools in 2017? Did you try to apply?
No.
You just had the dream that not in Nigeria.
I started, so I started picking out my schools in 2014 in school. When I went to serve, I started checking out for scholarship programs. And by the time I was out of NYSC, life just switched up. And everything changed from there. But the dream remained the dream. And so instead of just, of course, I continued to follow life, but most importantly, I began to engage myself professionally. And I realized maybe I should use what I have currently, develop it, and then see where it leads me.
What leads you to.
Yes, and I'm very glad. I'm actually very glad. I feel fulfilled that that's how my life's journey has gone. Because the 10 years in between have taught me more about myself and where my career aspirations lie. So I'm not going blindly and pursuing the professorship ambition blindly. I'm doing it now with I'm more aware of what it is that I am doing, because the journey has taken me, it has brought me here. And
in the US.
Yes, it is all of those activities in between. I ran from Yoruba for a very long time. Even after graduating, I still did not want to do anything with the language.
And it has pursued you all the way across the sea.
Yes.
So, did you ever teach?
Yes. So I started teaching at the age of 15, and then I stopped.
Who starts to teach at the age of 15? Do you have a 15-year-old teacher? Let's find out from Tana, because she insists on this magical number 15. Yeah.
Yes, my first teaching stint was at 15, but it was short-lived. And of course, I went to school. I would usually teach my classmates, host tutorials for, complex, complicated topics and all that. But then I finished. For my NYC, I also found myself in a school So I taught English at secondary school level,
Where was
senior
that?
second. I served in Bayelsa State, Yenagua to be precise.
Bayelsa?
Yes.
Bayelsa State.